A fly fifer and just another monkey. Time to backpedal forwards down the rabbit hole.
Yes, well, here we are again, folks, and what an interesting day it is today. Don't know where we're going to go, don't know where we're going to end up, but I'm sat here through in the west with Tony, is it Dockery? Donachie.
Aye.
Tony Donachie. To me, it's Tony Toast and Beans.
That's the one.
Now, there's a burning question, Tony. It's beans on toast, mate. I get it. You can explain that one. You can explain that one later. But hey, we're in the game anyway. So Alan, just another monkey's with me. We're sitting with Tony, and we're going to get Tony's story, how he wants to put it across. It's another guy that Alan and I admire on TikTok, and we follow him on TikTok. And personally, I find you quite an interesting guy, Tony, and that's why you were a target. Sort of get on this, get a chat, see what you want to say, what you want to bring to the table. So in typical fashion, I've had issues with the tissues and the camera's no playing, but we've got another one on the go, so we'll get that edited and get it onto YouTube for you at some point. Anyway, Tony, how are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Thank you very much for inviting me to the podcast.
Aye. It was brilliant to coming through here. Out the garage. The monkeys get to wander.
That's a cold garage, by the way. His mind's a cold, dark place.
It's a lonely
We've all got a wee cold, dark corner somewhere, don't we? Do you know what I mean? But it's always nice to get a change of scenery.
Aye, definitely. And just for those that might listen and not watch, we're in Tony's front room with all Tony's memorabilia about him. Again,
Tony's sanctuary. We're in
Tony's
this comfortable
sanctuary,
place.
offering, what is it? It's your place, it's your thing, it's your vibe. Everything today is what you want to say. So.
Well, thank you
sanctuary.
For that. The fortress of solitude.
Aye. So, Tony, go on, man, hit it. What do you want to say? I'm interested to see what you two get up to.
Well, this is the conversation that ensues will be interesting, no doubt. But to be honest with you, this is a new experience for me, so I wasn't sure what the format was going to be or what we were going to speak about. So
it's just three men chatting, mate.
There's no agenda here.
No agenda.
My thing, the only agenda I have is you have a story, and I want to know how you got to where you are right now. Not so much the typical podcast. Okay, can we go back to the beginning? Do you reckon that your journey to what we see and everybody sees on the TikToks that you do, and then all the answers that you answer all these questions to all these people, at what point did you actually walk down, and what was the main, or was it drink, was it drugs? What was it that your main forte? Because I've heard you talking about being drunk and going through and pushing through the neighbour's letterbox. But you've also mentioned the drug thing as well.
Uh-huh.
What was your main forte, if that's the word?
It was a lot of people have what they call a drug of choice. I'm for fancy terminologies, but what they call a poly drug user. It's just I didn't have a drug of choice. I just used anything available. Do you know what I mean? So I started using systematic and habitually when I was 14 years old, and I kept going right the way through till I was 34 or thereabouts. And in that time, I used everything. The only things I'd be better off listing the substances I never used. But so I started off using things like cannabis and alcohol, obviously. Then I moved on to like acid and amphetamines, Valium. By the time I was 18, I was homeless and using heroin. I came off heroin after 2 years and continued using, but I convinced myself I was clean because I wasn't injecting anymore. But I still used Valium, cocaine and everything else in between. Do you know what I mean? So
you're a searcher, you were searching for something. That's the big one for me. I know what it was that drove me through the door. Do you know, and is it something you ever talk about, what took you to think, I mean, peer pressure is one thing for smoking dope. To roller coaster, the whole fucking fairground, the unfairground, the acid, cocaine, heroin, da-da-da. Do you ever talk about what took you to the door?
Oh, aye. Well, obviously there's different contributing factors, but the main thing is a lot of drug addicts are chasing comfort and self-acceptance. So
there's no ego thing. There's no that. No.
My thing, if it's not coming across, it's because I didn't know how to convey it. Again, you're fucking too clever with these words. But to me, when I went to the glue, that opened the door. But to me, it sounds like, it's the guy that walks up to the letterbox and either kicks through the keyhole or he opens the letterbox and has a look through. What was it that made you want to seek the door to go through? Because every avenue you've just listed is taking you through the door, whether it be heroin, acid or whatever. Do you know what it was that took you right to the door? What did you want to go through the door for?
Well,
what were you hiding from, if that's the one?
Well, no, that's the word. Because that's we're hiding from parts of ourselves we don't want to accept, and that's what happens. That's why we use substances. I can trace addictive behaviours right back to my childhood to the age of 7 when I started using food as a comfort, and it was anything that could change the way that I felt, and I was using that to hide for parts of my life and parts of myself I wanted to avoid.
That's the one though. Do you, without you revealing it, do you know what it was that you were hiding from? Because obviously, do you? And do you ever let it go? Do you talk about it?
Well, what it is
because I had obviously that hatred thing. I knew that was a first instinct for me, and it was because it was alien. I didn't understand it, and I would never find out I was 21. No, the justification of why that hatred was there. But then when I landed in Shit Creek, the hatred just got worse and worse and worse. And then the encounter with the pedo. Mm-hmm. That was enough to drive me over the edge. So I went to the door and I put my hands up and says, I do not fucking want to be here. This is done for me. Mm-hmm. And the next minute, the glue come along, mm-hmm. which opened the door. And then that allowed me to fully, not so much hide, but run. I could run away, no bother, with a smile on my face, because every corner that I turned, every dark thought was there. And it just come in and it closed in. And it was only the glue that gave me that wee filtery light. Mm-hmm. Do you ever talk about what it was that took you there? Or do you just see it as, no, I just had an addictive personality? Because that's the one for me, I didn't know.
I don't buy into the addictive personality thing. No. I don't buy into addictive personality. But to a certain degree, at least I think it's something that's developed as opposed to something you're born with. I get there's different things, contributing factors like hormone imbalances and like genetic predisposition and the disease of addiction terminologies and all that stuff. But as somebody that's been through a full 12-step programme and went into the disease of addiction and justification ideology, and then went on to study counselling and understood core beliefs and how they're established, I believe that the negative core beliefs established in early childhood are the driving forces behind all our life choices behind that.
But can you put your finger right on the button that made you... So obviously for me, there was a hatred, that's one thing. But the main trauma that drove me to find the door...
Well, what happened was I can only the way I make sense of it is I witnessed a really violent event in my early childhood. Right, it was the day of the Big Orange Walk. We were walking through Govan Hill along Allison Street. We were outside Paddy Neeson's pub. We got to the park, and one of the guys for the Orange Walk had went to Paddy Neeson's pub, which is an Irish pub, a Catholic pub, and started singing the sash. One of the boys jumped up.
Well, the wisest thing to do in the world, isn't it?
So one of the boys in the pub jumped up and glassed him in the throat, and the guy was pumping blood out his throat as we walked past him in the street. Wow. So I was 4, my brother was about 2, maybe still in a pram. So I walking up to the park. So that was the first major traumatic event. And I can't say definitely 100%.
But that's enough though. Do you know what I mean? In life, that's far too much for a 4-year-old child to fucking carry on
for a 4-year-old to remember that.
But it continues, right? Because I can know as in a linear sequence, right? I can see how that affected me, right? So you're then talking to a chubby, socially awkward kid with dyslexia that doesn't fully understand himself going to school and making that transition into primary school and getting bullied. And I think that witnessing a traumatic event like that at an early age gave me an aversion to violence, so I wouldn't stick up for myself, which made the bullying worse. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? And then you get into that cycle of self-loathing and depression. So you've got all these negative core beliefs being established, and then society seems to be reaffirming that, and you start to seek comfort in things that you know can change how you feel and how you think. So my first comfort was food. Then I got introduced to pornography when I was 9. I started using it habitually. Up when I was 11, I was addicted to pornography. Then at 12, I started self-harming. At the age of 14, I was using drugs. So I can trace it right the way down. Do you know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. It's the step. No, and that's the other one that I'd say to James. I want to know about the 12-step thing because I didn't get it. It's not that I didn't get it. I didn't understand it because I've never been involved in it. It's like you gave me rocket science. I didn't fucking get it. I didn't understand it, but you can explain it to me. But for me, when you've got that one that starts you, do you feel that it's more that society and what it starts getting you by, there's a bit of school bullying, there's a bit of that, do you then start believing in yourself that this is how life is supposed to be? And when you see, at some point, if it's the food, there's an escape, there's a comfort window over there, and then you see the pornography, and then it comes to the drink, the drugs and everything else. Do you think it's just you? Because what's running through my head right now, we were talking about music and its influences on your life, and how I believe, and I have always believed, that music talks to me in the most delusional fucking sense. But the one that's running through my head right now is Bob Marley's Running Away, when you're running and you're running and you're running away, but you can't run away for yourself.
No.
At some point, you realise that, hang on, there's the brick fucking wall is right in front of you. You think, I can't go any further. There's nowhere for me to go. And that must have been your moment of clarity to say, I'm going to become Tony, the guy that I am now.
It's just on a couple. Sorry, Tony. It's just a couple of things that you said there about the 4-year-old laddie. You instantly went into a couple of labels that you'll hear us big on, and it's society's labels. But I can respect that the dyslexia one, because I now know that that's probably what was wrong. I couldn't read or write. Does that make me wear a label? No, because I can do a lot of other things. But you said straight away there, like the 4-year-old Wayne that's seen that horrific act, and then you went straight into dyslexia, then the food thing. Then do you think that, were you told then that you were dyslexic, or was it?
No, I wasn't. I didn't get an official diagnosis of dyslexia until I was 34.
Right.
I was at uni.
So that's a new age. Like me, I agree with you. I wasn't told at that age, that young age, that I was dyslexic. It's now that people are saying that.
Can I just interject quickly? See that whole thing, and again, we cheapen it by saying it's a label. That's just my way of doing it.
No, but it is though. It is a label.
But see, when you were younger, do you feel that the system had abandoned you, or you had abandoned the system because you went full force that way, where education meant fuck all? So if you had never witnessed that act, if you didn't have to deal with these issues of bullying and whatnot, if you had went into a nice school and there was, right, Tony, we're going to be learning, do you think you would have, do you know what I mean? Would you have got to 34 to find out that there's something wrong, there's something not quite right? Because mine was, when I look back, people will say to me, again, if Alan had applied to sell at school, he might have been different. But I know within myself, I couldn't apply myself. Because if you sat me still and got my attention, the demons come into the back of my head and I'm going out the fucking window because I can't hack this. I need to be elsewhere within my mind. I need to be running about. Does that make sense?
Aye, because that bang on the money, because that takes us to the idea, like, our negative core beliefs are already established. Like, see, between the ages of 2 and 6, your mind is in a state where you can't analyse or break down information, so you swallow. So you swallow it as a whole and it becomes your truth. So that's your established core beliefs. If those core beliefs are negative, that determines who you are, who you become as a person, the life choices you make. But they happen that young that you don't know they're there. It's your reality then at that point.
That's it. It's what you know.
No matter
so
what
you
stimulus.
Didn't know any different.
But not even that, in your subconscious mind, you've got what you call the reticular activating system. The reticular activating system is basically what shows you what you find most relevant, and it's your emotional responses. I believe your emotional responses tell your brain what information you find relevant. It's like, see what you're on Facebook, and it shows you your Amazon search has been, because you've showed your phone what's relevant. It's the same thing. You get that pop-up, that's your brain showing you, look, that. It's like, say for example, you've got a couple trying for a baby, right? And they're that focused on it. All they see is couples with prams, because that's their want. That's what their brain. It's their brain showing them what they want to see the most. We'll see if you've got core beliefs that you are monstrous, unlovable, less than human, all these different things. That's what your brain. That's the information your brain will retain. So no matter what outside stimulus you get, you always latch on to the negative. Do you know? And it's until you change the core belief, that's when you.
Totally makes sense.
Right. So at what point, what age were you when you understood that? Because as a dyslexic 34-year-old, did you already know that? Or was that part of your 12-step program? How did you gain that knowledge to understand that? And would you have known for an earlier age that this is what's missing? This is what it is? Because everything I've done, I've had to do myself. When I've been in, I've been bamboozled and confused with these fuckers, and I have to rebel against it and think, no, I analyse everything. So you take the cup and you look at the cup. I didn't look at the cup. I'll take the cup for there. I'll look around it, I'll go around to that side, I'll change every perspective on it, and it's what I've done for a very young age. I've analysed absolutely everything, every feeling, every thought, every fucking interaction with another individual. So if it was the dyslexic thing, you know that now, or at 34 you found that out, but at what point did these core beliefs in you believing that that's what it is? So the pregnant guy and the pregnant bird, they know that everything they're getting algorithmically is because they're focused on that one thing. What would have been your main focus to have said, that's what I want? Do you know what I mean? In the sense that if you're attracting it, why and how would you have spotted that? My thing is, did you not learn all this later and you can go backwards on the journey? Because my whole thing is I go to the end of the path, I hit the wall and then I go back. I'd done that a long, long time ago. So everything beyond that is in that, in the sense that I'm somebody else. I'm no walking as the 11, 12-year-old guy. I'm walking as the guy that went into glue and exploded everything. So I didn't see life the way that you see it. And that's what I'm saying, is an educational thing that you've picked up, or can you walk back your own journey and identify it yourself where it makes absolute sense?
Well, it's all retrospective, right? Because I got to an age, it was my early 30s, I remember, and it got to the stage where all my justification for my using wasn't valid anymore. Like, they're getting bullied at school, my dad was an alcoholic, society made me this way, genetic predisposition, all this other bullshit that I'd used to justify my using, right? And that's it, it's all nonsense, it's all bullshit, right? The fact was, I was a 30-year-old man that still loved Beanz that couldn't work the fucking washing machine. Do you know what I mean? So, and I had to own that, right? I had to own that. I had, at the same time, I had delusions of grandeur. Do you know what I mean? Because I was going to be an international investigative journalist, and I was going to take down Eastern European mafia and all this mad stuff, and I was going to travel around the world like Hunter S. Thompson, smacked off my tits, investigating things. That was my life. And the reality was, I was a 30-year-old man that still loved Beanz, and I was in this place. So I'd go to a stage where I was at uni and my life seemed alright for the outside and I was using all the time. But
it's that uni thing. What made you go there? Was it the realisation that you're a delusional guy, that you're living outside the realms of normality, as mankind would say? Because right now, I can identify more with the guy that wants to go and solve world fucking crime, rather than a guy that goes to university, because that is jumping on the wagon of the bad man. Whereas you know, if you're using your imagination, you're a very fucking smart guy. You're a smart monkey.
But gets to the point, right? This is interesting, but I got to uni by fucking accident, right? It was an accident.
Just like the job.
Well, it was an accident, mate. Sometimes you can't help where you land, right?
No chance.
They just introduced the work programme and they sent me to the job club up in the town, the city centre, and they'd threatened to stop my money. They've doctor when they put me on the sick. The doctor when they put me on the sick. I went to the doctor, expressed all my issues to the doctor, was very honest. And said I was having really dark, intrusive thoughts, couldn't control my drug use, all this other stuff. The doctor gave me a leaflet for a fellowship meeting that told me to go for a walk around the park. And at that point, I was so that was it. Here you go, we'll fix you. So
there's a biscuit for the journey.
That's it. Do you know what I mean? Calm down, son. Take a break. Yeah, I mean, but
keep it in for a while.
That's it, exactly. You know what I mean, notice how I mentioned Kit Kats. We'll go back to that. So we'll revert back. But so I had a choice. I was I could either just fuck about or I can go to college, right? And I applied to college for an access course. I was actually wanting to go back into English, right? And I spoke to the guy, public advisor, was at Langside College, and he says to me, "You better have to do an access course. It covers more subjects, and it's if you pass this, it's a straight go to uni." And at that point, I seen some sort of light. I was like a purpose in my life. Like, I can go to uni. Nobody in my family's ever done that. It's a new thing, right? So I went, and my wee dyslexic brain couldn't write and couldn't spell, and they've asked me to handwrite an essay. And it was I had 4 different subjects. I can't remember all 4 of them, but one was about the Middle East conflict, right?
All right.
And I'd already
delusional mind's got that.
I'd already invested a lot of time in conspiracy theories about that particular subject. So I'm quite confident. I got quite game, right? So I was there, mad with it, full of codeine, full of vodka. Right, let's write this essay. And I got knocked back for the state of my handwriting and my spelling, right? Because it was atrocious. It was like a toddler wrote it. It was horrendous.
Oh, I know that one.
And they said you've not been accepted, and I wouldn't accept that. So I went down to the advisor. I'd just broken my hand because I'd lost my temper and punched a wall fully. So I went down with a cast from my elbow down to my fingertips and a half bottle of vodka hanging out my pocket, and argued with the guy in Langside College that I was discriminated against because of my dyslexia. And went off my nut, and they gave me a resit and asked me to come back and read it with a computer. And I wrote an essay about how the Middle East conflict was really about controlling commodities like opiates and oil to fund the global pharmaceutical market and all that stuff. And I'd done about it big, and I got in. They let me in, right? So I got that. And I had some really brilliant lecturers. One guy called Ian McPherson, my sociology lecturer, was fucking fantastic, right? So, and I used to argue with him all the time, pissed, because I figured out that Asda sold bottles of brandy that came in plastic bottles that would they clink when I put my bag down. So that was my go-to. I would jump in and get a hot bottle of brandy, and I would take my at that point I was taking a box of 32 Coca-Cola a day, so I was in there arguing with my lecturers and doing my bit, and miraculously I got a really high pass mark and ended up at Strathclyde Uni studying journalism, and that's when I fucking broke. That was it. It was too much. I had more money than I'd ever had because I had my bursary and all this other stuff. My life seemed alright, but inside I was crumbling, I was falling apart.
It's not for you, it's no you.
Well, even that, it was just that the realisation that my justification for who I was or what I was doing didn't work anymore. I realised that I wanted to change but didn't know how. I'd taken on roles and responsibilities that weren't mine at a very young age. Not because anybody forced them on, but because I took them on myself.
That's what we do.
As we do. And I was sitting here on my old couch, right behind me where I'm sitting, and the plan was, right, okay, it's done, I'm ending it. My family turned my back on me. I've jumped a bit, I've missed a bit. It was just after Christmas, and my mum begged me not to drink. My brother had been clean for 18 months. He was supporting addicts in the East End, doing voluntary work. And I said, I'll no drink. And my wee addict logic said, I'll go out and get 50 Valium, right? So my mum was scraping me up after flare. I was bounced up after the was. And that was it. It turned her back on me. And it just so happened I just got this flat. So I realised that I was done. I turned into my dad. And nobody could tolerate me anymore. You know what I mean? That was it.
I know, yeah.
And I had the plan, and the plan was very simple. I was going to slit my wrists and put a pair of gloves on, then put a pair of marigolds on, then put another pair of gloves on the top of it, and walk to the hospital with my bottle of vodka. And if I got there before I bled to death, my life had some sort of purpose. But if not, I was dead. It was it. The world would be better off. And I couldn't do it because people started flashing through my mind, and my wee brother's kids came in, and I was like, if these veins.
Oh, when you're that, you're going to get lights coming in, of course, yeah.
Well, but it was
if you never got hit with a fucking car,
that's it, innit? Yeah. But and I thought about how much these veins loved me, and that was enough for me to think maybe I'm not the piece of shit I think I'm. And that was a changing point, and I was at a fellowship meeting.
So it wasn't the educational side, because I'd done the exact same path. When I went in, mine was mere, I went in, I says, right, that's it, fuck it. And I've done so many things about it, but it was that strange fucking way that unfolded for me. Mm-hmm. I went in and says, look, I want to go to school. I used to love writing. Mm-hmm. And I would draw and all that shit. That was always an escapism. I found that many escapes. I didn't have to take drugs and bend my mind. I could then physically do things myself. Mm-hmm. But I'd say, look, I want to go back to school. And they literally sent me back to my old high school because Telford College had taken that over. So I'd done creative writing, same as you. The delusional mind has never went away. It's always been there, and I've lived with it. I've never went and let anybody see into it at all. It's mine. And I fucking function, no bother with it, alongside it. Even when I rebel against it, I can still manage. But the introduction to counselling, I'd done that one. And it was all a challenge for me because by that time I'd realised that these fucking demons inside my head, they had robbed me in education. So that's why I could sit, I could make money. I was really good at what I'd done. I'd learned how to climb the tree in the jungle in life. So everything was available and I was fucking good at it. But when you're at the top of that tree and there's no further to go and you come back down, kind of tail between your legs, and you're fucking, this is shite. I'd be in a conversation with a pal who's a plasterer, who's a tradesman, with an architect who's a clever bastard, and they're having a conversation. I literally could only hold the fucking door open and I felt really fucking cheated. And that's when I thought, no, fuck this. And that's when I went back to the school, into that system. But I found that I was rebelling against it more and more because I could see it. I knew it was a torment then. I could see it even clearer now because you're having a conversation with the counsellor and saying to her, oh, listen, I understand the open and close questions and da-da-da. So what if you get a client that doesn't want to open? And he'd went to the side and she's like, well, then they wouldn't be there for counselling, would they? I said, but what if they've been referred by the courts, as I was? Well, I suppose you've got a point. And I think I says to her, or I've convinced my mind that I says to her, and I suppose you're getting paid for this. You're fucking telling me something that you've never actually thought about yourself. You're just quite happy to roll it off the tongue. So I rebelled against it, and that's when I thought, you know what, I didn't need it. But the writing thing, that's what stuck. And I know that your story that you're doing is going to be good, especially just with the things that you're allowing to let out anyway. I started writing, and I got my partner because I'd met what is now my wife back then. So it'd be about 24 years ago. And I'd say, no, read that. And it's the same stuff, the delusional mind, everything that's in there, but it's me. I'm hidden through every bit of it, but I'm fucking good at hiding. like you would be. And she says, aye, the only thing you're missing, Alan, is that the person that reading, they have to fucking breathe. And no commas, no punctuation, no nothing at all. So I know everything that you do now, because you say it yourself, that you'll sit with a dictionary, you'll pick a tricky word, and you teach yourself. So the dyslexia label and badge, does it really apply if you just never paid attention at school because your attention was elsewhere?
Aye.
It wasn't that you had a short span of attention or anything that the GADHD and all these other fucking abbreviations that are gained for kids nowadays. It's just that they can't engage their mind because they're like this. No, I'd rather play my phone because you're talking shite. And my mind is saying to me, fuck off, that's bullshit, I didn't need this.
I can't engage with it because it's no interesting to me. It's no relevant to my mind now. It's no where I'm at.
Yeah.
But I guess so it's a combination of different things, but it's again, it's all retrospective learning. So I didn't know this until I went to study counselling. I went to do the Costco. Do you know what I mean? So that's when I started.
That was after you had sat here and thought, you know what, I'm chucking this.
Long after I done.
So you had a path in, it didn't really work, but then you got the realisation and thought, this is where I want to go, because I am not that guy. I'm not the guy sitting on the fucking couch either. I'm somebody else. So you went on that self-discovery.
Aye. Well, but it was, I was lucky enough. A lot of people don't have families and supports when they get clean. Do you know what I mean? A lot of people don't have that. But my brother was there. He'd already experienced it. My mum was there. They were happy to take me back when they realised.
How long after the episode did they willingly open their arms to you?
Well, I was
did you have to go and cap in hand and say, look?
Well, I walked. My mum stays in Tory Glen, about 1.5 miles, 2 miles up the road. I tried to get a taxi, couldn't get a taxi. I walked back to her house in the pissing rain greeting, absolutely in tears, a big rain, absolutely broken. And I said to Mum, I can't do it anymore, I don't know what to do. And she said, phone your brother. And I didn't want to phone him because he was done with me, and I was like, I can't phone him. She's like, just do it. So I phoned him. He talked me through the beginning of my detox. I phoned a doctor, couldn't get an appointment. They told me to keep using. I said I can't. They said you're looking at, I think it was like I can't remember how long it was, the referral. It's in one of my videos. The referral to a rehab, and we had to be a fortnight for a doctor's appointment. I think it was a 3-month wait or something like that for a rehab.
It's a killer, wasn't it?
Right. So keep using, and I was like, can't. The detox has started, right? So my mum went out and got me. We were always like, you can't just jump off it because it can kill you because you'll start taking seizures because of what you're using. So you need to wean yourself down. So my mum went out and got me a half bottle of whiskey, and I nursed that throughout the first day. The Saturday morning, I was at a fellowship meeting, and I met my sponsor that morning, and I've been clean ever since. Do you know what I mean? But obviously, going through the full 12-step programme thing, I had discrepancies with it, lots of discrepancies with it. But at the same time, I found it really cathartic because I was opening up and speaking about who I was, and it was like it gave me some level of self-understanding. It let me reprocess things. You know what I mean? But it was a weird situation for me because my sponsor was a man, and I wasn't used to any sort of intimate conversations or trusted. Aye, so I wasn't leaving that. I never had that with my dad. Do you know what I mean? Because my dad was very distant. But
that's what I'm saying. Men, when they're standoffish, and you didn't want to let go, then fuck you. You're not going to look in my bag.
Exactly.
No chance. This is my shit.
True as well, Tony. If you've not got that connection with your dad, and you've not got that training for your dad, how fucking possibly could you be him?
You know, exactly.
You couldn't possibly be that cunt if you've not been taught or trained by him.
But it's back to the illogical thought process of genetic predisposition. Yeah. He was like that, I'm like this, so we must be the same. Yeah. And there was a lot of similarities between me and my dad, right? I had to make peace with him.
Just beat myself up with the same thing for 43 fucking years.
Yes, but we do, you know,
we do.
Know what I mean?
We definitely fucking
own
do.
It, and it becomes part of us, and it becomes part of that belief system.
But do you not see that as evolution?
Yeah.
So he's done it. He's just done it. I had done it a long, long time ago, and here's 3 fucking half-wits saying the same thing. Why is it no part of the curriculum that you are an individual person, you are your own self, trusting your own fucking wants and desires for to be you? Then you think that predisposition that you're going to turn out like him even applies, because you now know that you are individual, you your own self. The education, it didn't work for you then. It's worked now. How the fuck is that? Are you 2 different people? Do you know what I mean?
No, I'm with you.
Because the distraction for the education system forced you to rebel against society. So you rebel against society, you find out this is shite, then you come back, you have your moment, and then you go and you find somebody. You can relate to this person, so slowly you start talking to yourself. My thing with us and the whole thing that we're doing is that we didn't need to go and phone and be told it's 2 weeks away to meet anything. And then you think, right, okay, 2 weeks, can I sit on the couch 2 weeks in with my wrists fucking bust? No, I'm not going to last that long, mate. It's no there, and it's no the immediate. So what is it? Is the lesson that system is fucked and it's not going to help you, or is it to drive you to make the moves yourself? So when you meet that person and you can relate and you start opening your own bag up and you're like, well, that's what happened. Well, that's all right. They didn't judge you. Like you must have found with the sponsor, they never judged you. And then, I'll give you another one. And how long that took for you to actually clear it all out. The thing for me and him is we're just two nuggets. We didn't need the university degree to listen to you and know you personally.
But
I'm saying somebody that is there, that is wanting to go and make the jump, but just doesn't know how to get there, know to get the right sponsor, how long did they have to wait, and especially now with this whole macaroni virus shite, the amount of fucking... No, do you know what I mean? There's people that's going to be on the couch now.
The cutbacks are ridiculous, especially mental health and addiction. I had this... I posted a video I TikTok about the Glasgow Council on Alcohol, who offer a free counselling service for people who believe they're alcohol dependent or at risk of relapse, for people who can get help. And I had a friend of mine, that I've not spoke to for a while, that I knew years ago. I used to practice Aikido with him, but he came out on Instagram and pulled me up and said basically what I was saying wasn't true, that people aren't struggling to get help and it's all a myth because he's an addiction worker. Right. And I was like, I'm sorry, mate. I was like, I understand, but at the same time, it is true. I hear it every day. People are struggling to access help. And not just that, people are getting assigned addiction workers they're not compatible with and being dismissed because they're not tapping into the system. You
just seem to get that fucking boom. You were there, that divine timing thing that's landed you there with a sponsor that actually allows you to open yourself. Because I checked up on... all the other things that can help or should help other people, and coaching is one thing. But all they do is they coach you to talk, and you're like, and that's a fucking trade. But you're going to convince me, right, Alan? Okay, tell me the story. You're like, well, what do I need you for, you thick bastard? You can't relate to me. And the relate counselling thing, I don't know if that even still exists, because to me, you can relate to a guy that has done that's been bullied, that witnessed a traumatic event, that maybe a life was lost, massive car crash, any of that form of trauma that's dealt with addiction, eating disorders, pornography, drink, drugs and rock and roll. I can relate to you if I'm in that boat, because you're in that fucking boat. You've been in it and you've come through the other side. So why do guys like us, why do we not get the chance to help other people? Why do we have to do it for a grassroots fucking level where there's the three guys sitting around the table talking the same thing that these fucking idiots can't get to? I didn't understand that.
Because you've got to get a diploma, you've got to have a certificate of worthiness, right? Oh,
exactly.
Can you hear yourself?
I can hear you. Can I?
Right, yeah, it's still going. It's a double wire there, yeah.
Okay, still going.
Yeah, you're all right. As long as you can hear yourself, you're sound.
I think I'm all right. I'm all right. So I need the diploma. I call it the Wizard of Oz syndrome, right? So at the end, the scarecrow wants a brain, doesn't he? Do you know what I mean? So at the end, they go and see the wizard, and the wizard gives me a wee certificate and say, you had the brain all along, and that's it. But a bit of paper that makes you valid and makes you valued. And
so you're on the same page as me, that it's no validation that I've actually lived that life, because they can't teach me how I've lived my life. What are they going to tell me? Are they going to tell me how to know how to trigger? Because if I'm talking to you in a relating sense, I'm not going to tell you to tell me your secrets. I'm going to tell you mine, which gives you that comfort to say, well, you know what, if we're two men and we're just chatting shit and there's no camera on us or none, I'm going to let a wee bit of mine go. And the next minute you start doing that whole unravelling thing where the bag comes round to the front, you see all the shite that you've been carrying all this time, and then you identify, but no, you're saying, this, that, and other, but that's no you. You're no your old man, so it can't be. No, you have the genetic makeup, but it's no you. You can't. You know something? You're right. Chucked out the window. Nobody, you do your reaffirmations and burn them and put them out the window. Same thing. It's no you. You know that now, but how come it's taking you so fucking long without the diploma to work that out? No, albeit that you've had a bit of assistance. You've done it yourself. When you think of it. They've only guided you, maybe showed you another path and things like that, but the ultimate thing is you've done it yourself.
But that's the thing though, you have to be a willing participant, right? A lot of people want somebody to step in and fix their life, fix my life, make me happy, all this other stuff, and it's something out with them to fix them or make them happy, because there's no accountability there. See, when I realised
moment though, isn't it?
Exactly, but see, when I realised that it's me, I'm responsible for this. Let's see, my environment, my quality of life, everything about it, I'm responsible for that. I'm not responsible for anything out with.
Nope.
I'm responsible for how I interact with that and maybe how my choices impact on other people. But my life and my happiness and everything, it's all mine. There's nobody else. I own it. There's nobody else accountable for it.
It's a big bag. It's yours.
There's a common denominator that we've used to have mentioned today that it's stuck in my head and I want to get it out before I forget. Is Alan, you mentioned the delusional mind. Then Tony, you mentioned something about was it acting in a delusional way? Who's fucking delusion? Who?
That's
Who's
exactly
to say that your thought process isn't actually valid? Who's to say your thought process isn't actually? Who's fucking saying it's delusional here? Who's told us that we're delusional because we've got a train of thought that we think is act? You could have been the fucking best reporter out there. Who knows? Who knows? Why are these thought processes seen as delusional?
It's the same as when I done the wee certificate. I just wanted another nosy because I find it a challenge that these people with the diplomas, with the 18 fucking whatever, how many years they've spent within it, they can't relate to a broken mind because their mind's no broken.
Well, see that going to university for that amount of years, spending that amount of fucking money, own the government that amount of money, right now, that's fucking delusional to me.
That's exactly.
And yeah, I'm watching my own laddie doing it because he's on a mission to do fucking whatever he wants to do. But I see that as delusional.
I love a challenge in mind, but as long as you can, because Tony's managed, and that was the thing that they say to me when I went in. I says I want to learn basic English and maths, and they says, Alan, you're 27-year-old or something. You can communicate, you daft cunt. You know how to do that. So you didn't go to basics. You already know how to convey a message across. You can put your point over and think, right, okay, that makes sense. It makes sense in the fact that life is the main teaching thing. The education is an absolute secondary thing that you can go back to the university in later life and pick it all up and learn for that in itself. But without the life experience, you're only a formatted. Do you know what I mean? You're as good as a book. You're
it's
a
all
sausage.
theory. It's all theory and no practical. It's all theory and no practical.
But that's where it's cheated because I need to practically know what the fuck you're talking about, what your feelings are, how I know that if you're going to open to me. So if you've not had the couch moment, you're going to be a tough nut to crack. And that's where you can end up in that system. You meet the wrong guy, the wrong sponsor, some wank that goes like that. Okay, Tony, right, okay, so tell me a wee bit about yourself. No, mate, I can't because you're fucking thinking I'm a watch, you daft cunt. You think I'm a time slot in your calendar. I'm telling you nothing. And I know that for sitting with a psychiatrist and listening to them trying to get into my head. And you're like, you've not got a fucking clue what you're doing here. No, come into my eyes and have a look. There to be windows to the soul. If you can see my soul, I didn't need to tell you fuck all. You register it. But because they have a book for a mind, they can't see. They're like blind people. Whereas you, I know you can see. So if you sat with another guy that was struggling, you'll know just by looking into his eyes if he's willing to open. Or if he's abrasive and he's sitting like that and looking down and no want to be there.
But see, that's the thing though as well, right? A lot of people, I get a lot of people message me, a lot of people message me and say that I've got a family member that's really struggling and I want to help them, I want to get clean, I want to get life together. I'm like, you can't. It's like because there has to be an element of willingness there. But at the same time, so it's like a combination of the right approach and somebody willing to actually make the change.
I
you know
think
what I mean? There's a sweet spot in there, do you know what I mean? And I was, at that point, I'd reached a point where I was desperate enough that the willingness was there. I'd have done anything to change my life. And it's back to that, your brain showing you it's relevant at the time. I just so happened that I met my sponsor on the bus to my first meeting while I was rattling. And we established trust straight away because we had similar life experiences. And 6 months later, he was my sponsor. Then I was doing voluntary work with my brother in the East End, and they were putting me through different therapy styles. I was doing Reiki, mindfulness, acupuncture, all that stuff, and they offered me the Cosca course to go and study counselling, and I jumped at it, and it just so happened it was with the Glasgow Council and Alcohol, and the guy's name was Neil McCauley, and the guy was fantastic. He really knew his stuff. So it's just so happens that I was willing to learn and develop and cultivate some self-worth and self-understanding, but at the same time, people were there just delivering the right approach at the right time. So I was lucky that way, do you know what I mean? So, but a lot of people aren't that lucky.
But again, if Tony hadn't sat on the couch, Tony wouldn't have fucking landed there. No. It's that first thing. It's where you're saying that the person has to, there has to be an element, and then that network has to be there. If it's the network that you choose to go into, so you managed to go in and pick up fucking loads, whereas you, the guy that sat there, you only want to be yourself. You want to find the guy that his mum can be proud of, his brother can be fucking delighted to, and that his nephews and nieces can look up to and think, yeah, Uncle Tony. And that's it. That's what normality is. Everything else you've achieved up and beyond, that's all bonus work. And you must be able to see that in yourself. Know that the healthy living, everything that you're doing, and because we get a wee windy in your TikToks, that we see that you have taken it beyond where it should be. So not only are you happy to be understanding of your own self and your own life, that you're actually wanting to go a bit more, and with the job and everything else, you're wanting to help other people, pull them up for that shite hole that's down there. But it's that same thing where you need them to be willing to say, you know, I am an alcoholic, whatever it is. But without that whole stigma, because I went to one of the meetings where the men meet, and you get a ball. And when you're in charge of the ball, you get to talk. But there's another 25 guys all waiting on that ball. And you think, by the time the ball comes to me, I've listened to all your stories. I'm thinking, no, Duncan Bannon time. I'm out. Fuck off. You're all fucking off your nut. And that to me is where it happens. Because I'm not going to open. And it's the same with psychiatrists. If I see you as a threat trying to get in, or you're not interested, then that to me is a threat. Because if you're not interested, I'm telling you nothing at all. And that's when I'm saying that guys like you, if it's a relation thing, you relate to them. James can relate to guys for his things. I can relate on my things. It just so happens that we all have different paths, and that was the whole point of coming through to meet you, is to understand your path. And then how do you then move forward with your own self to the ultimate Tony? What is it? No, obviously you do your job, you're living, you're doing your happiest life that you have. You do what you fucking want, because you own this shit. Where do you see that if it was me, because obviously we do this, I done the booklet, I talked to James, I let him come into my mind to see what I want to do. And my main focus would be to empower other people. Well, that baggage, it's no fucking yours. Rid yourself of it and walk a bit taller, because the weight is now off your shoulders that you've been carrying all this time. Where do you see that as something that you would do? Because obviously you get the questions all the time and you answer them perfectly. So somebody will say, Tony, you didn't do that. How did you deal with this? Or and you answer them all the time. Do you see yourself in that field, or do you think, you know what, I'm just going to be Tony? I'm here if you want to ask a question.
It's actually a very good, unique format, by the way. It's very impressed the way you answer people. It's so good, Tony. It shines.
Thank you.
You know?
That's the draw. The draw for us, and definitely for me, because I'd say that, I'd love to have come and had a coffee with you. I didn't envisage this stuff. That's James's thing. But to meet you, to see, do you see yourself? Because I've sat with the professional people and tried, and see the stuff that comes back. Like, you shouldn't be in that fucking job. You shouldn't be taking a salary to this. You should be doing that, because my thing is I know a past. And if that can help somebody, I want to help them. If I get paid for that, that's a fucking absolute bonus. But the bonus is seeing somebody saying, you know what, oh, you're fucking right. Thanks for that.
But it's a salary, though. As people say it's a salary. Do you know what I mean? And it's all right doing it for the money, because at the end of the day, right, you get people that say, I don't do this job for the money. Do it for freedom. Do you know what I mean? Do it voluntary. The fact is, you're doing a job for money, but do a job that you're suited to, that you're experienced enough to deliver well. And do you know what I mean? Exactly. So if you can deliver that counselling or person related counselling to a level where you're helping other people and still make money off it, that's fantastic, right?
Fucking super.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I'd always said that I'd like to help other people reach a version of, find a version of themselves they feel comfortable with. That's because I know how difficult it can be to be comfortable in your own skin and no understand who you are in your own work.
Exactly, it's that relate thing.
You know what I mean? So
you see your book, when you did it, what's the ultimate thing for the book? Do you want to sit back as Mr. Welsh and say, phew, can I have done that, make a movie, I'll just sit here and cream the candy? Or you want to educate people?
I want to educate people, definitely. The plan is, right, I've got an actual game plan, right? So the game plan is, like, the first book would be a self-help book, right? I've got a plan, because you keep asking.
You need it. Yeah.
Because people keep asking about stories like yourself, not telling their stories and that. But and will this be part of the book? The mad stories that I tell probably won't be, because I want the first one to be a self-help book and how I got clean. My experience with counselling and a journey through like spirituality, fellowships, counselling, all that stuff to gauge some part of self-understanding. But I'd also like to follow that up with a one-man show where I do another book called Tales of Carnage, right, where I do tell you all the tales of madness, you know what I mean? So, because I started off writing and I realised that I was just going off in mad tangents. So I need to snap it down and say, like, this is concise and condense it as much as possible. Because I found out of a friend of mine who I'll no name, right, but he's got quite a lot of success in the writing world, right, so I'll no name him, but to be fair. But he said, you've overshot the mark. Because I was sitting at 60,000 words and he's like, you've way overshot it. All my books are 45,000 words and everyone has been published. He was like, you've overshot it. He's like, you need to pull that back, condense it. And I was like, right, okay. And I never went to the guy for advice because I don't want to waste this guy's time. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to say, look, fucking...
You must get him, yeah. You burn the bridge and he doesn't want you coming back.
Well, not even that. It's like the guy would offer help if it was there, but at the same time, he must get asked questions like this half people all the time, and it's people just wasting his time because they're not serious about it or they're not committed to it. So there is a game plan there, but ultimately it's about sharing my experience with other people.
But isn't that funny that the three of us are sitting here with the same objective to do that? But we're the grassroots grandpas. We're no paid to do this. There is no financial gain for us. So you write a book, and whether it becomes a bestseller or no, the money would become a bonus because ultimately you want to say, look, this is how I've done it. This is what I've done, and these are the steps that I took for the life that I had. I've kind of turned that round to show you that it doesn't matter how deep in the shite and the mire you are, you can come through it all. And then the second one with the tales on how you got there, because the peripherals is fuck all, you know that yourself. The funny stories is there. The wee silly booklet for me, it doesn't go personal, it doesn't go deep. The TikToks do, the things that me and James have done, I don't mind. I'm an open book in myself, and every one of us is. And it's that book that can tell a story. But it's like you say, the finite part of it is the helping thing. Is that where we are in humanity? Your spirituality. Does it tell you that life is at this precipice now where humanity has to fucking help each other? No governments, no money, no greed, no power. And you'll get the guy that says, I need to get a job. What for? Because, I need to make money. Well, you split the two. You need to make money. The job is a secondary fucking thing because if you hate the job, you're only doing it to get the money. If you want to get money, then that'll be an easier thing than getting the job that you fucking hate. It's that same thing. That's a word anyway. But to come back to you helping, do you see a spirituality side of what you're doing in the writing? Because if you can go off on tangents and lose yourself in it, there's a fucking story there, and it can help somebody that may be right in that path. That's going to go there, or the guy that was sitting on the couch. Any one of the guys that you have played the party, whether it was Tony the drunk, Tony on Valium, Tony the smackhead, Tony the shoplifter, do you know what I mean? Tony the jelly friend, Tony the porn man. Do you know what I mean? You've played that many different parts that you know the fucking movie inside out before it's even played. So the book would let you know it. Do you think that's where we are?
Definitely. I see it as a spiritual sense. It's like we're in the fall of humanity seems to be in some sort of emotional evolution, like some sort of great awakening, right? Where people are cultivating some sort of self-awareness. I remember I was doing my first Reiki attunement. It was a woman called Linda Thompson who was based up in Maryhill. She had her own business called, I think it was New Earth Industries or something like that, she called it. But she was talking about how the full Earth, the full universe operates at vibrational frequency. So what she was saying was, right now the Earth was sitting at a 3.5 and we wanted to get it to a 5 and push it through. And what she was saying was it's all dependent on the emotional content of everybody on the planet their belief system that produces that sets the level of vibration. And see, the more that we fall into a trap of like fear and sadness and all these negative emotions, the lower the vibrational frequency becomes. And that was her idea of heaven and hell. It wasn't about like a wee kingdom in the sky or a place with fire and all that. It was about the quality of society with the earth and the society within it as a whole. And how we contribute to that. So I think that's where we are. We're at a stage where we've had enough and it's time to, you know what I mean?
That's it. To me, and I keep saying the word, it's evolution. It's evolution of us as we are, because we've had enough of this fucking claptrap bullshit. And to raise that human resonance in itself to another level, we just need to look at what this COVID thing has done, whether it's the mandates, whether it's the vaccine passports, whether it's the lockdowns. People are rising up. And again, it's another one that comes in various versions of songs to then tell your delusional and my delusional mind that this is fucking right. Even this crackpot's starting to see it now. And things that he's heard but never actually listened to. It's that same thing.
Well, see, if you look at it, right, see for decades now, see since like the whole tragic 9/11 thing happened and all that, right? We've had wars against unspeakable unknown fears, right? So with the war on terror, right, which is a war on a fucking emotion, right? We've got a war against fear, and then we've got a virus we can't see. So if we're constantly being told there's a threat, an invisible threat that's looming and fatal and all-encompassing, that and indiscriminate.
Fear.
So fear, it's constant.
Shake yourself. Get behind the curtains.
Right, be compliant. Don't question, and it's always been there. Do you know what I mean? It's just what
that was my theory. Was it the government started saying this Build Back Better the Da Vinci way would do things in a mirror. So you turn the B's into D's. And mine has always been that they're distracting us, then they're dividing us, and they're going to try and destroy us. Now, you just take that, and I could be tinfoil hat, but if you take the small businesses that are folding, if that's not destroying it, the dividing us, you've got a shot, I've not got a shot, you're wearing the mask, I'm not wearing the mask, it's almost segregation again. And the distraction is look into the eyes. It's that, you're like, fuck off.
But see, it's like a whole divide and conquer strategy, right?
Absolutely.
So see if I can
That's why it's no fucking
So see if I can put a mask on your face and take away your humanity.
I own you, bitch.
But no, just that, right? I'll put a mask on your face, take away your facial expression, and take away your humanity. Now you're just the same as everybody else. You're a faceless entity, right? Then on top of that, we've got the whole segregation. We've got vaxxers, anti-vaxxers, people wearing masks, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Don't Matter. It's all segregation. When what matters is we're all human. Do you know what I mean? So
that's what we need to get back to, and that's why I'm thinking that us sitting here, we're just 3 bandpots, but the potential of another 3 bandpots seeing it and saying, you know what, I'm going to sit and talk to my fellow man. Fuck this carry on. I'm going to turn this fucking thing off, and I'm going to look into your eyes and have a conversation where I can see that you're no hiding from me, you're no doing that, and you're no looking at that, because all I get is a reflection. It's not a reflection of what I want to see.
Aye, it's a funny you should point at the telly, right? Because the outside aerial for that isn't even connected. I've not had an outside aerial plugged in for 4 years.
I've not even got one of them.
That runs on Netflix and Amazon Prime, mate. I don't watch the news. Do you know what I mean?
Same.
I can watch the telly. I'm not watching what's on the telly. I watch the telly. I can sit and stare at the wee box there. I can stare at the corner. My mind goes away. It goes in and through the back. It's done it for years. I'll look at the reflection, so I could sit here thinking we're watching EastEnders, but I'm actually looking at you, or I'm looking at James. I didn't watch it. It's shite. It's
my mod does the same thing. You see her sitting there with the telly on with no volume on it, just sitting there staring at it like that, and she's like, "What are you doing? You're right, man." That's absolutely fine. She just drifts off into space and lets her mind wander. She's done it for years, right? But just when you're saying that, you're talking about the mirror image of the words and all that. Have you ever seen the John Carpenter movie They Live?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I thought. As soon as you said it, it was a subliminal messages, but it's all hidden words and hidden meanings, right? So it's just, I know it's the extreme end of the spectrum, but it's just.
But to a degree, because he only just seen them as these faceless characters. But it's like you say, I went into Tesco, the woman's there, she maybe says, "Oh, sorry, sir," or "No, she's in the way," and I smile and say, "Oh, that's all right." And then I had to say to her, "You didn't even know I'm fucking smiling, do you? So what is the fucking point of doing it?" It's like you say, cover it up. No, it's just that we control you now, son. And that's if they're just looking with a wee clipboard saying, right, which ones do we own? We own that, can. I play along. I play the game in my local store. I'll go in and I'll put the mask on for one fucking reason. That if somebody says to me, "Excuse me, sir, would you like to put your mask on?" I say, "Go fuck yourself, you daft." I can't do that. No, because of the retaliation on me, because my wife and my daughters, they'll be like, "Ah, that's that bastard over there. Oh, that's his wife." It's that thing. So I comply, but I do not acquiesce. You don't have my permission to tell me to put it on. I'll put it on if I choose to. It's the same with the law. I've always been the same with the police. If I didn't want arrested in 6 hours, then I'll play your game. But it's the game.
There's a choice.
It's always been a game. There's always been a choice, and it's free will, and that's something we have. But when you give it up, you give up your rights by handing over your free will on everything. They know you're a submissive, and they can tell you what to do. That, for me, where you're saying this human resonance hitting this level, David Icke was going on about years ago. I see a different thing, but he sees that same as They Live. He sees an alien face behind it. No, I'm no one to say that that's wrong or right or whatever else. I just think, you know what, that's tinfoil hat stuff. Where you're exposing that there is corruption at every level. Right now, we've got that crazy fuzzy bear cunt in London telling people, do this, do that, stay in. But they're now showing emails where, "Oh, I'll bring the cheese, you bring the dips, I'll bring your own bottle," and all this shit, and they're partying. Well, if that's all a lie, when he's saying, get the boost, but you've just proven you're a fucking liar, mate. Why you want me to do this as well? Is there something, do you know what I mean? So the resonance is lifting, whether we fucking like it or no, it's going up there. It confuses me.
Look at all these marches that you hear about on your TikToks and your social media that you're not seeing on this. I wouldn't see it anyway because I've not got one, but
never see
the mass masses that sit and watch the telly aren't they getting to see all these things.
The one in Kazakhstan, I watched one, and I don't know if it was a TikTok or whatever, but there's fucking hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of thousands of them.
One of the news channels showed these deserted streets, and a few arrests and a couple of people were shot and but they're empty streets, and they've obviously passed through, mate. If you turn your fucking camera, you'll see the noise. These people are not happy with the way, and that's globally. And right now, when I recovered or going through that macaroni virus carry on, I was nothing but fucking angry. I was really angry that because they're telling us trust the science. As far as I'm concerned, science created this, but it's the same as Boris. Stay in, wear a mask, do as you're told. I'm going for a cheese and wine party. Well, hang on. So it's the same
See,
thing.
that's right. This whole thing. This is why I'm a fuck now, right? This is why I'm a fuck, right? Because it gets obviously right. You go through the process of assessing who you are and re-establishing who you are, but the old neural pathways, no memories still live there, right? And they still exist as triggers in your mind, but you develop resilience. So when any vultures swoop through your head and try to take away your peace and your happiness, you can bat them off. But she is going through working solidly through this full pandemic bullshit, right? And it's just like it's been all fear and control. And you get to that stage where you feel that element of powerlessness, and you know what I mean. You start to feel yourself sinking, right? So I didn't have the resilience to bat off the vultures anymore. And I'm like, I can't do this. And that's when I had to go and speak to my employer, say like, I can't do this. You know what I mean? Because it's all right going to work and doing different things, but see if I get caught up in a thought, I could be sucked right out the fucking room. I'm gone. I'm leaving there.
Mentally exhausted.
You know what I mean?
You're exhausted.
But it's like the only way I can describe it is imagine a hand putting itself through the back of your chest and pulling you out your body, and I'm just standing there. I'm not even in the room.
Yeah,
so when I'm in a flashback, I'm gone, right? So if I'm doing that, I can't. So I had to go and speak to. I need to go and get myself together. That's why I'm engaging with people and talking about issues and different things, because I need to. It's
empowerment, because again, you'll charge off of me, I'll charge off of you, James will charge off of you, you'll charge off of me, and in a collective there's three. So we're empowering each other to see beyond the mist, beyond the fog that's down there. I mean, we talk about it with the rats and the snakes. They're down there. We know they're there. And it's like you say, these fucking daft things are coming at you, trying to corrupt your own thought process that this is normal. No, it's no fucking normal. But I know what you're saying. To me, I refer to it as shite tennis. You've got two bandpots with tennis rackets and they throw up a jobby and it just... But the effect is it fucking hits everywhere.
It goes everywhere.
That shit sticks. So you come here and you're for fuck's sake, man. And then the next again day you're going out there and you're looking for it because you know it's coming.
You know it's coming.
Whether it's GMTV and Dr. Hillary and all these, I've got a right passion for that cunt because I think it's foolish. He was one of the first ones to say the mask didn't work, and now he's telling you put your mask on, and you think you're confusing the fucking life out of people. But if that is the distraction, the confusion is going to allow you to do what you want to do, I know personally within that spiritual realm, it's not going to happen. The macaroni is dying right on its fucking hole, and they're going to have to say, well done to all the triple vaxxed and boosted bastards because yous have beat this. Whereas we know, no, this has been dying on its hole regardless of all of that stuff, as far as I'm concerned, and that's what my delusional mind will say. But I know that we're going to move into a brand new way of life because it just can't be that there's three guys sitting here talking the same shite with the same, almost we're agreeing, we're no disagreeing, we're no battling on this. I think that the rest of certainly a great deal of society are seeing it. Why is the schemes the way they are? Why are these people sitting up there commanding massive fucking salaries but no looking at the guy in the street? We know the macaroni virus, everybody, let's close down, batten the hatches, nail the fucking doors shut your windows, everybody in, let's create these big massive hospitals because we're going to have dead people everywhere. All right, so what's happening with the Nightingales? Fuck all, we'll dismantle them. Yeah, it's a few quid, but anyway, use daft cunts are going to pay for it anyway. But there's still homeless guys lying on the street freezing their bollocks off. Could they not be in there? Shut up. And then he fucking quits. It's the same as when you were at school. When you're like, but miss, how could that be? Shut up. You're just a disruption. Get out the class.
Well, it's either the dominant finger of shut up, be compliant, or it's the subversive. It's like it's more complicated than that. It's not as simple. I mean, like, it's a fantastic idea, but they don't give you bullshit. Like, give me a logical response. Of
that's where we're talking. We're shooting the shit. I mean, and there is one fucking main element, and it's truth. Then you pander us. If it's, Tony, is the virus real? You can say, I believe it could be. You didn't say, well, you see, what we have to do is we have to study the statistics here. And, we've got a pie chart and a graph, and we've paid another cunt to do another thing and another. And all you do is chase your tail right round in a circle. You come out of the room and you think, Did I get an answer? I don't know. Did I get an answer? Fuck knows. And it's just that distraction and bamboozlement.
You've had a whole afternoon. I'll pass you out to my colleague.
That's
it.
Can you
My
phone me
colleague
next Tuesday? I've actually got another call here.
My colleague will explain to you, and that's it. Your colleague's full of shite, eh, pal? You know what I mean? Like,
Miss Sturgeon, let's go to my scientific advisor.
That's it.
Yeah, again, no, every guy that we're seeing and every woman that is passing us on information is passing it on for a fucking email, a graph, a pie chart. They haven't actually went out and done the study. And that was my biggest thing, that the science behind it is the fucking science that created it. So why do I have to trust the science? I'm not going to trust my own discernment. I've had it, I know what it is, and the thing that I know is, yes, it's real. It was released, or mistakenly or no, but why are you making shite like that? Why are you fannying about with stuff that can cause me 3 fucking weeks outside my own fucking barnet because my head's like that? I don't know what's going, but I'm away out the back garden. Gives a shout when you're ready to go back out again. And it just pisses you off.
Well, it's not even that, right? It's like there's that many conflicting ideas on it, right? It's a real thing, it's not a real thing. Vaccines work, vaccines don't work. I tend not to pay attention to it. It's like, it's just a lot of shite. People as far as I'm concerned, no matter what the camp sounds like, see if the camp's making that much noise, there's usually some element that can't be trusted, right? But did you ever watch the Edward Snowden interview about the whole COVID thing?
Oh, yeah.
Right, what Edward Snowden was saying that basically he doesn't believe COVID's a real thing, right, which is debatable, right? Actually, I'm not going to touch that subject, but what he said was, look at the social and economic implications of this, right? He's like, look at the businesses that have been shut down. He's like, no, just that. See, after, back to 9/11 again, he's like, see, after the Twin Towers happened, they implemented temporary laws and security measures in the interest of public safety, which actually infringed on rights and invaded privacy, and they now become permanent. What he's saying is that they're slowly changing society over a period of months by implementing temporary laws that are never going to be withdrawn. He's like, and that's what's happening. It's like they're changing society in front of you, and you just can't see it. Which
is perfect, because you've already said that 9/11 and they've done the exact same things that they're now trying to implement now. How the fuck do we have to get grassroots idiots like us to say, hang on, we've been down here before? That's what I'm saying. I've walked a path, you've walked a path, James has walked a path. There's no need for a young guy to walk the fucking path that we've already walked. He just needs to listen to us and believe us and have that wee fucking element of doubt, but trust us 99% of the way. Whereas 9/11 happened, so we've seen it happening, so we can see the gameplay, and you're like, hang on, you know, got something new, bring something new to the table. And I think that's why the resonance is lifting up, because we're seeing it. We're coming out of Shet Creek high above these fucking clowns that are still trying to perpetuate the same pish that was there. Oh, and it was in Afghanistan. I know you've been in there for 20 years, you've done fuck all, and you've come out and you've left all that stuff and all the rest of it. You not telling me that's a financial thing? You're not going to nail them to the carpet for what you're taking. It's absolute shite.
And on that note, gentlemen,
we're there.
I'm wanting to go out with a parting word for Tony, just for this hour. Let's take a break, stretch your legs, and have a wee think. All right? So we're
just
going
getting gone there.
I know, but I'm going to play us out with this. Tony, I want you to have the final words when this is finished, and just take us out, mate.
You've got to listen to the tune first, and
then part of the process, mate. Part of the process. I think everybody needs to stretch, wake up a wee bit. You look like you're about to melt. Tony.
Is it my turn?
Just a second.
At it. Well, Les, thank you very much for that. It's been a really enjoyable afternoon.
Fantastic.
We're not finished yet.
We're not finished yet.
That's only our one part.
Only half time, that's it. That's it.
Anyway. Right, speak to you soon.